rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, before we get started on today's podcast, I just want to take a minute to let you guys know that our new Work Hard Motherfucker t-shirts are now available at hostilegear.com. Head on over there, use the code Silverback and save 20% and get this badass t-shirt. I know a lot of people have been saying, hey, what a great idea, can't wait to get it. So now it's up there, it's in color, it looks awesome, and make sure to get yours AS to the AP. And now, on to the episode. Hey guys, welcome to the show. As always, guys, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm enjoying the journey it's taking me on, and I'm enjoying reaching out and helping you guys and getting feedback. You know, I had a guy the other day just, I was shopping for, I think it was at the grocery store at Canadian Tire, and as I'm walking up to something, the guy comes up to me, he goes, excuse me, are you Kurt Haas? And I'm like, oh, no, here we go. I go, yes. He goes, listen, I just want to say I listened to your podcast. That was the first time I've had that, like, just stranger moment like that, and I thought that was pretty amazing, right? And it's cool. It made me feel really good, guys. I can't deny it overall. And he was, he had some really kind words to say, and he was telling me a bit about some of the stuff that he's been going through, and we talked a bit about that overall, and I made another friend, and I think it's fantastic overall, guys, right? There's no need to feel alone, right? Find something to be part of, find something to listen to, find something to motivate and guide you along the way, right? That, to me, I think is super powerful overall. Today, what I want to talk about is, this comes up actually because it just sort of hit me about, 22 minutes ago as we're podcasting today. It's something I said in an earlier podcast. And basically, it's our scars are what make us beautiful. And as soon as I said it, I looked at Luke and I gave Luke that look, right? That I think that's something pretty cool. And we talked about it afterwards and stuff. And, this whole, journey of rebuilding ourselves and really getting into what we think and what we say and what we're feeling is so important. And, I was talking earlier about it's only after we've been through stuff that we really start to truly evolve. We were talking about people that have achieved high levels of success. In doing that, there's no way they haven't done it without, going through traumas and dramas and issues and getting scarred up. And that's where I just came out. I says, it's our scars that make us truly beautiful, right? And in doing that, I wrote down a quick couple of notes and saying, that's one of the next podcasts I want to do. So here we go, podcast 91. And I think it's super important that we realize that. I think the human tendency is we want to avoid situations because they're uncomfortable and fear sets in. And that's our early, fight or flight. The reptilian brain is kicking in, right? Oh, this doesn't look comfortable. Well, let's avoid it, right? And if it's inevitable, let's attack it. Backed into a corner. You ever see that? A small animal, a mouse backed into a corner. If it really wants to live, it'll turn around and attack the cat or the dog or the other bigger animal that's coming after it because it's at a point where it's like, fuck it, right? This is my last shot. So if this doesn't work, then I'll go out swinging, right? And, to me, that epitomizes the journey and the stuff we're trying to get done. But we don't get through that stuff without the scars. The physical scars, the mental scars, the emotional scars. We don't want those scars to cripple us. If anything, they should turn around and empower us. It's our suffering when we suffer. That's what that teaches us to have empathy towards other people when they're suffering. We can relate. We've been there. Maybe we're currently in that state. Our struggles are what make us stronger. But that's also what helps us appreciate when we see someone else struggling. Right? I know what he or she is going through. I can relate. I understand. And I remember that time. It reminds me of a situation. Take a moment and reflect on that and use that as a position. You can take it as a crippling emotion. You can take it as a setback. You can take it as something that's knocking you back because you have that memory. Or you could turn around and say, hey, listen, I overcame that. And use that to be a position to be strong from, to reaffirm how far you've come. Maybe you haven't truly dealt with it. And maybe it's a signal saying, hey, you know what? I need to get on top of this. I need to deal with this. I need to come to terms with this situation. Right? I think often things will be put in front of us on purpose by our higher power, whatever you choose that to believe. Right? God, that weird looking mushroom in your backyard, whatever you want to believe is, your higher power. I think, we're shown things and we're taught lessons and we're reminded on purpose when we need to be reminded. So maybe we're finally in a position where we're ready to deal with that thing we haven't fully dealt with yet. And maybe we're not, right? But at the end of the day, it's looking back on our past successes is important. But I think looking back on our failures and our struggles is as important, maybe even more important, right? You'll often hear me say stuff like, well, if it didn't kill you, right? And really that's just going off Nietzsche's, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? That's pretty true, right? At the end of the day. And it's knowing that this too shall pass is another favorite of mine. So working on staying calmer, right? Not letting our emotions get the best of us in the situation. And then being able to look at the situation as to how can I resolve it. And you know what, guys? Sometimes what the resolution is? Fucking tough it out. Hang in there. Push through. Right? Sometimes the punches have to keep coming. And you just have to get through it to get to the other side. Right? You learn that. You learn that with the scarring. You learn that with, it's okay. You can take a fat lip. I learned at a certain point when I was young, I'd rather have a fat lip and then know I did the best I could dealing with a situation in a schoolyard or in life than having the much heavier burden of feeling like I had to run away. Right? Because that sticks. They both stick with you. One sticks with you for a long time. I'll take a beating over sitting there wishing with regret that I had dealt with the situation. Right? I always say the physical stress is much easier than the mental stress. We pound out workouts in the morning and I know the guys and girls are grinding hard and stuff. And I tell them, I say, you know what, guys, nothing today is going to be as tough as what you're going through right now. Well, doesn't that put shit into perspective? Part of the reason why I always advocate the working out part, well beyond the getting leaner and stuff, is that little toughness that it creates, that success, that battle between you and you. One more set, finish these 5 reps. Finish what you started. If we have to do 20 burpees, for me, the first burpee is always the hardest one because it's the first one. Once we get started, then we're on our way. That only comes with experience, guys. That only comes with having been there. And we can only be there when we put ourselves out there. Right? If we try to cocoon, if we try to avoid, if we try to live a life without stress, without conflict, right? Because we don't want to fail, we end up failing by default. We fail through regret. And regret is the fucking dirtiest of them all, I think. I really, really do. While we're still on this planet, we can fix and turn things around. We can avoid regret. But the moment we're on our way out, the moment you're sitting there and you know this is it, it's the regret that's going to come to you. All too often, we read stories and studies about, dealing with people on their way out, dealing on their deathbed, knowing that their end is near. And more often than not, such a high percentage will talk about the regret of things they did not do. They did not say, the things they did not experience. And to me, that's the crazy. I think that's that scar, that's the final scar. So if we can learn earlier that, hey, you know what, just get up and go. A funny thing happened the other day. We were off going to see somebody for something. And as a rule, I'm pretty like, hey, what's going on? I walk into a place, stuff, I can do it. But every once in a while, I get caught with a little bit of anxiety. And we were having trouble finding this place. And every place I looked, the building looked weird and it was kind of dark and stuff like that. And my spider sense was tingling and things were off. And all of a sudden, I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm feeling really fucking anxious right now. I didn't swear because she doesn't like it when I swear. And I said, I get this way sometimes. And I said, and she's like, really? She didn't think that. And I go, it happens once in a while. Now, I don't know if it's because of the situation. I mean, we're going to a party. It wasn't anything negative or whatever. But something was bugging me about it. But the fact I spoke to her about it alleviated a bunch of that. It just felt a little bit better to acknowledge it, right? And to speak of it. And then when we finally got to the place and walked in, I felt fine. But for that moment, I really thought about turning around and going home. But then I also thought about, if I do that, I'm going to feel like shit because I was supposed to be somewhere and I didn't make it. I drove for an hour to get there. So that would bother me. I took an hour out of my wife's time. We don't spend enough time together because we're so busy. And, I didn't want to waste that. So really, the consequence of having those regrets pushed me to deal with it. And I still don't know why it flared up like that. It just happens once in a while. And I think it does for all of us, that kind of thing. And maybe it'll come to me a little later on. At the end of the day, I'll figure it out. And maybe it was something earlier in the day. Maybe it was something, some weird unresolved issue. I don't know what it was. But all I know is I had that moment where I could have easily turned around. But I did not want to deal with that shit the next day where I felt like an asshole, would have to make excuses, right? I did not want to have that regret. Super powerful, guys, right? And that's because of some of the scars I've accumulated, of having some regrets about things I didn't do when I had a chance to do them, right? It's the scars, guys. The scars are what make us interesting, right? The battle scars. The scars are what tell us we've been somewhere, we've been through stuff. You look at the veteran fighter, the veteran, person that's been through hell and back. It shows on their body. It shows on their face. It shows in their eyes. And if they're not broken by it, they come across as incredibly strong and powerful because of it. And to me, that is pretty cool. To me, that's what I respect. You hear it all the time. Get knocked down 6 times, get up a 7th. Right? Well, getting knocked down is scars. When I see some of the older guys come in the gym and I know they're stiff and sore because they're older and they're rebuilding or they're just older, but they warm up and they get shit going and they walk out of there, they feel good about having a workout, right? What's my excuse? I'm a little tired. Fuck you. Go do your work. Right? We can learn from other people's scars, what they've been through. Right? You sit there and you talk to a guy, Jody Minnick. A lot of you guys are familiar with him. Both legs blown off in a military operation, stuff like that. This guy's getting shit done now more than he probably ever would have had he never suffered that tragedy, because it changed him. Doesn't make things easy for him. Doesn't mean he doesn't have down days, right? But he's got a baseline because he could have lost his life, right? And going through that endeavor, he met his wife, right? Listen to his podcast. He's got a great podcast and he talks a lot about it. He's got a couple of books out. He's he's a city councilor now. Came in second in the Amazing Race. This guy almost died. He lost both fucking legs. And I guarantee you what he's doing now is a result of him having come through that. A lot of other people would have just fucking given up. A lot of other people would have succumbed to the harshness of that. A lot of other people would have, given up and succumbed to the depression part of it. Doesn't mean we don't struggle with this thing. Doesn't mean he doesn't have dark days. We all have fucking dark days. We all have days of regret. But I'm sure there's times where he sits back and goes, fucking, look, I came through all this. I can handle this. And because of that, he's achieving a lot more. Who knows where he's going to go? And who knows how far? It's totally up to him. It's totally up to all of us where we're going to go. I'm a parent. I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. First thing I want to do as a parent is I want to shield them from pain. I want to shield them from suffering. But then I also understand that, you know what? I can't shield them from all the pain and suffering because that's what's going to develop them. All I can do is give them unconditional love, be there when I need to be there for them, right? Give them what they need when they need it. Not when I want to give it, but when they need it. So I have to watch the tears sometimes, and I have to watch the struggles, and I have to sit back and watch some decisions being made that, you know, only a dumbass 17-year-old boy will make because he's a 17-year-old boy. The difference is between me being a 17-year-old boy when I was making some of those poor decisions and I didn't have a good family to support and to watch out for and to guide and care, is that he has that. So I also have to believe that that's going to empower him a lot more. But he's going to have to make some of those mistakes. He's going to have to go out and get his own scars. My daughter is going to have to get her own scars, right? As a man, as a dad, a protector, my little girl, I don't want to think about any of that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, she has to get her heart broken, right? She has to stumble. She has to fail. She has to struggle so that the person I know she can be can come out. And that's hard. That's tough as a parent, right? I see parents all the time being overprotective. One thing I told my kids when they were little in school, I said, you know what? You guys are going to school now. You're going to make decisions. If you screw stuff up, you're going to get in trouble. And I'll tell you right now, I'm on the school side till I know different. Never lie to me. Tell me the truth. Admit when you screw up. A little bit of this, you know, it's okay for me to be mad. It's a lot better than me being disappointed. If you lie to me, I'll be truly disappointed. I expect you to screw stuff up. That's what we do. I never fell into the, oh, my little Johnny wouldn't do that. I was more like, motherfucker, did you do that? And they're like, oh. I'm like, all right, what's the punishment here? Because I'll tell you what, there's punishment when we get home. Right? At the end of the day, no, that's my job. That's a parent's job, is to understand that they're going to make mistakes. The worst thing I could do is let them think they can get away with everything because their mom and dad's going to protect them. Biggest nightmare for fucking schools right now is having to deal with parents who do not want to believe their kids screw up. And they're raising shit rats because of it. They're raising kids that don't give a fuck. Have no work ethic. Have no discipline. Have no boundaries. Oh, I want to be my kid's friend. I tell my kids all the time, I love you to death. I chop my own fucking arms off for you, but I am not your friend. I am your dad. There's a big difference. I'm here to get you ready for the world, so you're better prepared than I was. Because I love you that much, and I want you to be able to be okay when I'm not around. Tough love, right? You know they're going to get the scars. You want them to get the scars. It's just hard to sit back sometimes and watch the scars happen. Same for us. We don't want to sit there knowing, that we're going to get the shit kicked out of us, but we need to go through it to learn. To learn what we need to know so that we can continue to develop and become who we want to be. It's that simple. So you got to embrace the scars. Stick that chin out a little further. Take that shot. Right? This morning at the end of my video, because it was so cold, I ended it with embrace the suck. If things suck for the right reasons, if things suck because you're working hard and you're getting your ass kicked and it's part of the battle and this is what you're going through, then it's worth it. That suck is worth it. If you're going through the suck because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and the world around you is crumbling in on you because you're being a fucking moron, that suck isn't worth it. And if you're not learning from that, then you're just repeating stupidity. Right? If it's happening to you for the first time, maybe the second time, and you finally realize, oh, maybe I should set the fucking alarm so I can get up on time so I don't get fired from my job. Right? Maybe I'll have more income and then I can afford to pay my fucking bills and I won't have the credit card companies calling me all the time. Simplest action. Get up. Right? It's those scars. We all get into trouble. It's getting out of trouble and moving forward that really starts to shape who we are. Right? I don't want to be no fucking, I'm 49 and going to be 50. I don't want to be no 40-some-year-old living in my parents' basement. That's a fucking huge failure. Now, I'm not talking about your house burned down and you need a place to stay for 6 months while insurance works itself out. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking you're fucking 40-some years old and your basement is your area and you live with your fucking 65, 75-year-old parents. Fuck you, you failed. Right? And I blame your parents for that. Right? It's okay for them to give you an extra $500 at Christmas because they love you. But if they're paying your fucking rent all the time, right? They failed you and you're failing now. Right? You didn't get any scars. Don't be that. If you're listening to this and you move back home because you had to redo things because your wife left you, that's okay. Unless it was 10 years ago. Then it's not okay. That's some horse shit. Oh, I'm staying there because I'm helping my folks. Oh, I'm sure that happens sometimes. You move back home to help your folks because they're elderly. But I'll tell you, it doesn't happen as often as I fucking hear it, though. Right? Lick your wounds from that scar. Get the fuck back out there. Because I don't give a shit. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to have that shitty regret. Right? And I'll tell you right now, when you're in a room full of other people that have getting shit done, that have been through the tough stuff, and they hear that you're fucking 45 years old, still living in your parents' basement, right? They're not going to be impressed, and they're not going to give you the time of fucking day because they know you're not ready to hear it, and they do not have time to waste, right? We do not have time to repeat ourselves for people that aren't ready to take action. I get asked for advice all the time, and if I don't think that person is really ready to change or they're just asking to ask, I end the conversation. I got one guy at the gym, love him, he's a great guy, right? But he's always asking me why he's not succeeding, and I've told him for 5 years why he's not succeeding. He just doesn't want to listen. So now I just look, I said, you know why? Well, I go, if it wasn't that, you'd be succeeding. It's that simple. And I just end the conversation, right? I can't waste time anymore. I don't want to waste time anymore on this individual, even though I like the guy, because I'd much rather give that time and that bandwidth to someone who's truly looking for some answers and some guidance, and I know is going to do something with it. Because as you get more shit done and you get the scars and you realize that time is short and our time is limited on this planet and it's up to us about the quality of life that we're living, we do not have time to waste. Because time has become our most precious commodity. It always was, but we had a lot of it when we were 19. We had a bunch of it when we were 25. In our 30s, we started to think about it a little bit. But now that we're into our 40s and 50s and 60s, time is much more valuable. More fucking valuable than a Bitcoin, I'll tell you that. And until you realize that, until you start to protect that most precious resource, it's not going to, your life isn't going to go where it wants to go. But you know what? It's the scars along the way that make you realize how important that shit is. Right, guys? So celebrate your scars. If you've lived a pretty sheltered life and you haven't gotten these scars, fuck, go get some. Challenge yourself. Put yourself in a situation that's uncomfortable and you're risking failure and you're going to get some bumps and lumps along the way because you'll come out of it a lot more rewarded and you'll develop the phenomenal self-respect that's the most valuable form of respect there is out there. So guys, it's our scars that make us beautiful. That's all I got for now, guys. As always, work hard, motherfuckers. Head on over to hostilegear.com. Use the code word Silverback. And if you use the code today, I want you to stand up when you type it in. All right? If you really want to get the most out of your discount, stand up with your shirt off when you type it in. Get 20% off. Awesome stuff over at hostilegear.com. Don't forget to leave us a review, a 5-star rating over at iTunes. And I'll talk to you guys later.